So let's get started with reading from a CSV file, and we're going to start by using this insurance cost download right here. This data is a freely available data set from kaggle.com. So go ahead and download that and just take a look at it so you can see what's in there. Alright, this is, there's a little over 1,000 records I think, but it's age, sex, body mass index, number of children, whether or not they're a smoker, region of, I think, the U.S. that they live in, and then the cost of insurance. So this is something the insurance company would be looking at to try to predict the number of charges based on these other variables. So let's go ahead and pull this data into Python. Why would we use it in Python instead of just here in Excel? Well, Excel is limited to a little over 1 million records in a spreadsheet. Python is basically unlimited to the power of your computer's processor. So we can handle a lot more data at once. And we have a lot more options than we do in Excel, although Excel does have quite a few. Anyway, so download, we got that downloaded, and here's where I want you to put it. I have gone into my Google Drive folder. So to use Collab, there's actually a variety of ways to connect to this data, to upload and download files manually. I think the easiest thing to do is to go ahead and create a data folder inside your Collab Notebooks folder. So from my drive, Collab Notebooks, I made a data folder, and then I uploaded that insurance.csv right there. So if you don't already do this, one thing I'd recommend is to use the, what do we call it, Get Backup and Sync for Windows or for Mac feature of Google Drive. What this does is it gives you a folder right here. Where am I looking? Drive, there we go. Alright, lets you see all of your Google Drive files on your own machine, like as if it was a folder right on your own desktop. And actually the files are on your own machine. Here's my Collab Notebooks folder. All of the IPy notebooks we've been working on in this book so far. And what happens is this downloads a copy of what's saved in Drive right here, Collab Notebooks. It saves these files that are stored in the cloud down to my own machine. So if I edit a file right here on my own machine, it'll automatically upload it here to my drive, and I can use it anywhere else. So again, I would recommend, you don't have to have this piece right here. You don't have to install the Get Backup and Sync so that you can have the files on your local machine. It's not necessary, but you do need to have this data folder in Collab Notebooks. So I'm going to assume you've got that created and that you've downloaded and put insurance costs right there. So all I had to do is on here, when I downloaded that insurance.csv, I just Control-C and then went to Google Drive, Collab Notebooks, data, Control-V, paste it in there. So that's how, and then once it's pasted in here, it automatically gets uploaded here to Google Drive and is available. So that's the way I would recommend interacting with it to keep it simple for now. Assuming you've done that, let's go ahead and open, and let's go to Collab and open a new collab.research.google.com, and let's make, no, not new code, a new Python 3 notebook. So we'll use this one for chapter 7. Actually, I believe we're in 7.3? 7.2. All right, reading data from a file. Okay, so next, I want you to bring up here in the view, so far we haven't been using this, I want you to bring up the table of contents. So this lets you take a look at the code you've written. Actually, we don't need to make a new section. I want to delete that out of there. Code snippets that you've saved from other places or that you can grab from other places that are available. But also, you have access to files. So, connect to a runtime, it's initialized and connected, there we go. There's some sample data that comes here with Collab, but what I want to do is what's called mount a drive to Google Drive. So as we click on this, it automatically writes for us right here, and dismiss this, from google.collab import drive, drive.mount. So in the last chapter you learned about installing packages. So we use the import command to install or to access a package. So that's what we've done here. We've import drive, but this from statement allows us to get a bit more specific and only import the piece of something that we want. So rather than having to import all of google.collab, from google.collab we only imported this drive feature. So anyway, it's a way of limiting what we pull in. So here's what this is going to do. Go ahead and run this. Give it a moment, and it's going to ask you for this. It says enter your authorization code. So this is a way to maintain security between your Python file and your data. Because if you download and export this IPy notebook and share it with somebody else, in order to access your drive, they'll have to enter your authorization code. So to get your code, go ahead and click on this link right here. And it's going to say what account do you want to use to access which Google Drive account do you want. Click on your account. Assuming you've already logged in, you'll see an option there. It might just bring in a login prompt for you to enter your Gmail username and password. Go ahead and do that if it does. And it says it wants to access your account. Do you want to allow it? Yes, we go ahead and allow. It says here's your code to mount and drive. And then you go back here. Now mine, when the video was paused earlier, I went ahead and did it. You're going to paste that code in that open text box that we had before and hit enter. Once you do that, you're going to come here and hit refresh. When you hit refresh, all of a sudden you're going to see this drive folder open up right there, or show up. So enter the authorization code, it gets mounted, refresh, drive shows up. And this gives you access to everything in your Google Drive. So everything that we saw before in our Google Drive, there's mine, you can see it's all available right here. So go into Collab Notebooks, go into Data, and you can see there's our insurance.csv file. Okay, so it's a little bit of a pain, but it's not terrible. I think we'll have to do this every time we start a new IPy notebook. We'll have to remount this, but it's not so bad. You just open up this table of contents, go to Files, click Mount and Drive, follow that process, and now it'll stay mounted here for us to use as long as we have this session running here with Collab. So we're going to assume we've got that done. Let's go ahead and open another code snippet here. And now let's access this file, insurance.csv. So here's how we're going to do this. I want you to start by importing the pandas library. Import pandas as PD. So we did this in the last chapter. If you're not familiar, make sure you go back there. Now that we have the pandas library, we have access to all of the commands in the pandas library. So we have a PD object here that represents all of the functionality available in this pandas package. So we're going to say PD, and we're going to use the read CSV command from that. Now, the question is, what do we type to get to that insurance.csv? If I type this in, just like that, CSV, it's going to give us a problem. It's going to say, we didn't find anything there. It didn't exist. So see, it has a problem with that line. File not found error there. That's a little bit useful. It doesn't find anything like that. Well, the question is, where is it looking? It doesn't know that we're operating here in this data folder. What it mounted, or what it means to mount a drive, is to create, basically like a folder location, as if it was on a hard drive, to access these files. So when we mounted it, we're mounting right here from content to drive, and then we still have to go in further. I'm going to copy content drive, and we're going to put it right here in what we call the file path. It's a relative path. So relative means we don't start at the C drive like you would if this file was on our own computer, if we were using Anaconda or something like that, or Jupyter Notebook. Instead, we start at content, then we go to drive. Inside of drive is the next folder, my drive, and we include the space and everything. So we don't see this. Content represents everything we have access to right here in this screen. This is all the stuff that's inside the content folder. See, if I go up, it shows this. This is my Python environment. Here inside of content, we see drive. Inside of drive, we see my drive. I've got that one. So I've gone from content, drive, my drive. Now we go to Collab Notebooks. Put that right here. Collab Notebooks / data is the folder that I created inside of there to keep this. And that's where insurance.csv is. So if we run that one, look at it. It prints the whole thing out for us. There's the entire file. So 1,338 rows, 7 columns. All right, this data has been read in. All right, let's keep going. Let's say we just want the first the first few rows, because sometimes, I mean, we're lucky this time, the file was pretty small. Sometimes the files are gigantic and you don't want to read the whole thing in for sure. It'll take forever. So something you can do instead is say pd dot, first of all, I have to put this in a variable called data. We'll read it right into there. So this says data now equals, it's going to be what's called a data frame. We'll talk about those soon. It puts them all into here, or puts all that into this variable called data. So now we can access a command called head. Data.head says just give me the first 5 rows so I can preview the data. So that's often what we really want when we just want to explore and first make sure that it's coming through as planned. Okay, let's stop here. We've got the data read in, and we'll proceed in the next section with how to use the data frame data structure to access and play with all of these values.